Greetings, I'm MisterFuzzles, and welcome back to Primordia. Previously, we returned to ever-faithful Leobuilt and told him the name given to us by Goliath, which was Horus. This let us retrieve a bomblet as a gift. After failing to use it as a power source, we blew open the door to the dome. This turned out to be an outlying train station to Metropol. Seeing no other choice, Horatio and Crispin hopped on board to the city. Receiving a rather unsettling welcome and losing our gospel of man, we find ourselves here in front of this charming robot. So why don't we talk to him?
Who are you?
Name's Leo. Leopold Steeplebuilt, version 7. You?
Horatio No-Built, version 5. And this is Crispin Horatio Built, version 1.
Leopold? Hey, you didn't build a lunatic named Ever Faithful, did you?
Do I look like I'd build someone named Ever Faithful Crispy?
Crispy?
Who is Metromine?
Who is Metromine? Stan Bruin, you are Tyro. Metromine? Well, Metromine is Metropol. Runs everything now. What with the council shut down?
Council?
Sure, a bunch of primordial machines. Arbiter enforced the law. The warriors kept the records. Big old factor built just about everything from down in the underworks. And, well, there's another one, I think. Don't even remember his name. And Metromine, of course. She used to run the trains, but now she's got the whole show.
Where can I find her?
Like I said, Tyro, she is the city. So you found her already. Probably locked yourself to her just to get here. Anyway, if she wants to talk to you again, you'll know.
I was robbed when I came off the train. Some robot paralyzed me and stole my gospel of man.
Careful there, Tyro. If you read the rules, you'd have known Metromine don't take kindly to superstition. Under the refuge rule, you got 2 days to talk about make-believe man all you want. But actual writing about man, that gets tossed to the underworks with the rest of the trash and trouble.
How can I get it back?
Ha! Your risk inhibitor flaking on you, Tyro? You'd have to do some digging down in the underworks, which ain't exactly easy. And even if you find it, you'll just be sticking your finger in Metromine's socket. Like I said, she got no time for heretics, lunatics, and the like.
How about quick-witted levitators?
Don't think she cares for them either.
I'm looking for my power core. It was stolen from my ship, the Unique, and I think it's being kept in that tower over there.
The great tower, you mean? Sure, it's probably in there, along with all the other generators and reactors and cores that keep the lights on.
How can I get it back?
If Metromine took it, you don't, Tyro. Her word is law. Arbiter's the only one who ever could have said otherwise. And he's been gone a long time. Get into the courthouse, maybe you can plead your case. After half a dozen other folks took their turns, that is. But you can't. The old judge locked it up tight. And who's to say you'll win, huh? My advice?
I don't want your advice. I want my power core.
Well then, good luck to you.
I'm looking for a big robot. It floats and has large claws and shoots lasers. Have you seen it? It stole something of mine.
Sounds like Scraper to me.
Scraper?
Worked for Metromine even before she ran the show. He was the one that blasted out the train tunnels under the city.
Where can I find him?
Now, how would I know that? That one goes where he wants. Maybe the Great Tower, maybe the tunnels, who knows? But I wouldn't go picking trouble with him, Tyro. Those lasers Scraper used for cutting granite can slice up that tin shell you're wearing like nothing.
Here, here.
I'll keep that in mind. How do I get into the tower?
You don't. Council members only. And the only ones still clicking are Metromine and Arbiter. And let me tell you, neither of them is one for bending the rules.
Are you sure you don't know a robot named Ever Faithful? He called himself Leobuilt.
I'm a peddler, Tyro, not a builder.
What are the underworks?
A whole mess of junkyards, canals, factories, smelters, facade, every kind of heavy machinery, all beneath the streets. Old Factor ran the place, built just about everything in Metropol down there.
Ran the place. Who's in charge now?
Nobody, not since Metromine pulled the plug on Factor. Whole place is full of junk and full of trouble. What for the latter? I'd have picked a clean.
Well, boss, at least we can scratch one detour off our list. Seen one junk pile, seen them all.
Tell me about Arbiter.
He's a member of the council. Heard he used to fight with Metromine day and night. Ran the courts, or used to, back when we had him. One day he just sent his clerk Clarity down to the underworks and closed up shop. Ever since, Metromine says what the law is.
How long ago was that?
Who's counting?
You don't believe in humanism?
If If you asking whether I believe in man, the answer's no. And you better not either. Not if you want to stay here.
But how can you not believe in man?
I'm a progressive, Tyro. I believe in progress. Us robots improve ourselves. And that's how it's always been. First, there was a basic machine. And bit by bit, bite by bite, the machine built itself into all this. You and me and that little floater of yours, we're all cogs in that same machine. And that's all there is.
Tell me about Clarity.
Clarity was one of Arbiter's law clerks. Real cool and calculating, that one. Once heard say that a robot should have his recharge port fused just cause he'd stolen power from Metropol. Anyway, word was she got in some kind of fight with the old judge and he sent her down to the underworlds. Guess she's still down there stewing.
Let's see what he has to offer.
What are you selling?
Bartering, not selling. Metromine don't tax bartering. Not yet, anyway. Come take a look. That's a water chip. Scavenger brought it in from the dunes. I traded for a gek.
A what?
Never mind. We don't need water, let alone a water chip.
Now that's a nice one. It's called a memory access device. Lets you pull memories out of just about anything.
What do you want for it?
Got a customer looking for something real antique and fancy. Find me that, you got yourself a deal. That old boy is a plug boy,
I know what it is.
Well, okay then. Bring me something that'll cover her face and it's yours.
Good idea, Leopold. You'd look much better with a mask.
Watch yourself, President.
Anyway, we don't have time to go around building circuit boards.
Famous last words, boss.
That servo unit is hopelessly broken.
It just needs a little fixing up, Tyro.
I don't think so.
That's a fine tool. Got a half-life of 1,000 years guaranteed.
I'm not sure you know what half-life means.
You want it or not, I'll trade it to you for something shiny.
Boss, is that another battery?
Looks like it.
Finest AA battery you'll ever see. May as well call it AAA, it's so fine.
Wow, that would have been useful to have before I went rummaging around a pile of tires in the junk pile. Now, not so much.
Oh, don't be such a baby, Crispin.
One fine motor you spotted there, Tyro. Foreign built, out of Savitas. Can't do better. But if you can find a bigger one, let's talk.
And we have a name of a third city, Savitas.
Hey, look, boss, it's a glass finger. If we got 5 of them, I could have a hand.
What would you do with a glass hand?
What wouldn't I do?
You want it? You're gonna need to bring me a glass thumb.
Oh, go wipe yourself.
This is a Sterling air motor.
Would it help me fly?
Nope.
Then we don't need it.
That there's an old Nova Robotics subsystem coil.
Not interested.
A binary abacus. Finest calculating instrument.
I'm fairly certain that my math coprocessor is superior.
Ah, good spot there, Tyro. She's a fine micro-fuel cell.
What's the catch?
Well, she's drained.
I guess that makes it free of charge.
We'll pass.
This here's a tape measure.
Ooh, get it, boss, get it!
Why do we need a tape measure?
So I can finally determine my circumference.
Tyro, I'm gonna do us all a favor and not trade you this one.
Looks like we may be able to get one of the items. Let's just scavenge this old sensor.
The entire thing is fried. Actually, wait a minute. The crystal and plug are still intact.
Please, for the love of Ram and Rom, tell me we are not going to build a third energy sensor.
I hope not.
We have something shiny.
Let me see your stuff.
Come take a look.
So we can get the crowbar.
Here you go. A nice shiny crystal.
And one heavy iron crowbar for you.
Why does that not seem like a great deal?
Hey Armstrong, top me off, will you?
Let's look at it.
A heavy iron crowbar.
Nothing interesting there. Let's look around.
Keep my distance, boss. He could spray you at any moment. Oh, it's so cute.
I'm waiting for the punchline.
What, can't I like a cute little robot once in a while?
I doubt it. A tiny robot.
Fine, fine. Put me down for another megacycle.
Oops, did not mean to go up here.
Well, boss, somewhere in there is our power core.
Why don't we return in a little?
Would it not have been better to have destroyed ourselves gloriously in battle, rather than perpetuate this false existence?
What do you...
Yes. The answer is yes.
Boss, I think someone left the smart off that smart bomb. I wouldn't expect much conversation out of him. Now that's what I call a floating bomb, boss.
Just another floating robot.
Hey!
All storage bladders empty.
I guess that's a good thing?
Fine, fine. Put me down for another megacycle.
I agree with Crispin. It is cute.
Boss, even if there's some code to crack here so that we can understand what it's saying, I propose we just ignore it. Maybe, for once, the other robot can figure out how to communicate with us.
Agreed.
It looks like a lighthouse, only without the house, or the cool stripes, or the coastline, or any boats. I guess it just looks like a light.
Are you finished?
Yes.
Let's continue on. I have a terminal here. It's an information kiosk. Has a lot of information, which I will see by the end of the LP how to best show off. There is one entry we should check, especially with the mention of a refuge rule and laws.
Hey, look, something came out of the machine.
There's also one little thing I'd like to try.
It is pitch black. You are likely to be eaten by a grue. If this predicament seems particularly cruel, consider whose fault it could be.
We have a torch and a lamp in our inventory.
That was odd.
That indeed was odd. Let's grab our printout. Take a quick look at it.
The Law in You, a Metropolitan Guide. It's written by Clarity Arbiter Build.
Hey, boss, look! That repair bot has a floating helper just like you do.
There's a red, burning, crashed hover bus and a writhing electrical cable. And that's the first thing you notice?
I can't help it. She's beautiful.
Well, you're not getting to her until we deal with this cable.
Crispin has a crush. Isn't that sweet?
I can't safely grab it.
Hey buddy, why don't you help us out just a little bit?
Crispin, can you fly around the cable and push it off the street?
But didn't you just say it's too dangerous to get close to it?
I'm giving you a chance to impress her, Crispin. Just fly up high enough that you don't get close to the sparks.
Fine.
Excuse me.
Can't you see I'm working?
I've said it before, but I'll say it again. You do know this ship is never gonna fly again, right?
You're right about that. This old airing bus can hardly fly to begin with. Still, there might be some parts here that Metromine can use to get another bus up and running. Anyway, what do you want?
Hey, boss, ask him about his helper.
What happened here?
What does it look like? The airing bus's motor gave out and it crashed into the only branch leading from Main Street to the rest of the city center.
Was anyone on board?
Sure, but they've already been salvaged.
Salvaged, not repaired?
Can't repair without parts. You can't get parts without salvage.
What about building new parts?
Yeah, I mean, what factory? Look, everyone wants to spot bugs, but no one wants to write code. You got a better way to run a city? Go out and build one. Otherwise, get with the program.
You mentioned Metromind.
Yeah, sure. She's in charge of this big circuit board we call Metropol.
What can you tell me about her?
What do I look like? The information kiosk? I want to know what I think? Metromind is the best thing that ever happened in this place.
Really?
Really? You, me, all these other machines grinding about. We're just tools in the toolbox. But Metromind, she's got the master plan. Progress. Got a nice ring to it, too.
So as part of the master plan, crashing buses into roads?
Look, there's plenty of rust to go around, but Metromind's the only one scrubbing. Not her fault that some of the metal's too far gone.
It looks to me like you're the one scrubbing, not Metromind.
Like I said, I'm just a tool in the box. Now, I gotta get back to work.
I don't think we're quite done with you yet.
You again? What do you want?
Since you're so close to her, do you know how I can talk to Metromind?
Ha! Talk to Metromind. Look, Metromind has an entire city to run, but her eyes and ears are everywhere. If she wants to talk to you, she will.
I'm looking for a big robot. It floats and has big claws and shoots lasers.
Scraper. After the last big cave-in, the two of us worked together on trying to fix the blue line. It's on the simple side, but a hard worker. What about him?
He took something of mine.
Yeah, salvaged it probably. That's what most of us do for Metromind these days.
Stole it.
Hey, you say router, I say router. Anyway, not my problem.
Where can I find Scraper?
Do I look like a tour guide? Piece of advice for you. Don't mess with the code if you can't handle the glitches.
Very profound. Do you know where I can find a power source?
If I did, I'd have salvaged it myself and brought it to the tower.
When will the bridge be passable? Soon?
Well, seeing how the last remaining Airbus just crashed, I'd say opening the bridge to pedestrian traffic. So I'd say something on the order of a month, give or take.
A month?
Give or take.
And there's no other way off Main Street?
Not unless you got a jetpack hiding under that jacket.
Well, at least that narrows our options down, boss.
My friend is curious about your helper.
No, she's just a sidekick factor built. Thousands of them rolled off the assembly line back in the day, but she's probably the only one left. Really not much more than a floating lantern, and headlamps are a lot cheaper.
She says you're not much more than a floating plasma torch.
She's right.
Goodbye.
Uh-huh.
A floating light pot. It's holding a spool of copper wiring.
She? And what is she?
It looks like he's trying to fix that crashed hover bus. A crashed hover bus.
So we're gonna fix it up and do something amazing with it, right, boss?
No, it's not our property or our problem. She's holding a spool of copper wiring.
Crispin, you seem to like her. Why don't you talk to her?
Hey, Crispin, why don't you go talk to her?
What? No way, boss. She's way out of my league.
She's a floating lamp, Crispin. You've never had any trouble with lamps before.
Well, I've never had to talk to one before, boss. Just knock them off ledges. I've got no practice.
Lamps and practice. I think we can help him out.
Hey, Crispin, how about practicing on this lamp?
In front of her? Are you kidding?
Looks like he's a little shy. So let's step out and help him out.
Hey, Crispin, how about practicing on this lamp?
Oh, good idea. Okay, here goes. You really light me up.
No.
Okay. Trust me, I know how to turn on a light.
Definitely not. Okay, that's enough practice for now.
That should do it. Alright, Crispin. Go get her.
Alright, Crispin, it's now or never.
Beside you, all other... Whoa! That was so easy! She gave me a clipping of her copper wiring.
Hey, that wire belongs to the city. That's coming out of your salary.
You tell him.
Good job, Crispin. Well, after that, let's continue on this way. Probably the courthouse, with Leo mentioning the line of robots.
I'm pretty sure that wiring isn't up to code.
A small, simple robot. A rotund robot wearing a monocle. A tall robot wearing a top hat.
Ahoy, my dear friend! Oswald Factorbuilt at your service.
He's no more your dear friend than Rex is your creation, you besotted gear oiler.
Oh, don't mind Cornelius. He's been bitter since the first great rolling brownout.
Bitter? I'll show you bitter, you backbiting bot snatcher. I think I like these guys, boss.
What's in that building?
Why, Arbiter's Court, of course. Why else would we be here?
I need to see Arbiter.
We all do, my dear friend. But the courthouse is locked, and first comes, first served.
Why are you waiting in line?
Justice. I'm here for justice. To prove that I, Cornelius Factorbuilt, created this marvelous machine, Rex. Rex Cornelius built.
Ignore him, my dear friend. Candidly, he is 10-23 flops short of a kilo, if you catch my drift. The machine's name is Oswald Built. Rex Oswald Built.
This is over a name? Why not just let Rex decide?
Ridiculous. This is about principle.
This is about pride.
So, boss? Would you fight over me like this?
You could call yourself Crispin Crispian for all I care. As long as you still pull things off ledges for me, that is.
Glad to know I'm loved.
Smooth, Horatio. Smooth.
How are you going to decide who gets Rex?
For the law, fool. The law.
Please excuse my brother. He can barely remember pi to the 23rd digit, let alone his manners.
For?
I rest my case. Suffice it to say, old chap, we await the reopening of the courthouse. Or more precisely, we await a summons from Arbiter who will decide our case.
Who will say whose contribution was more important? Who will say, in fact, that my contribution was more important?
I'm looking for a big robot. It floats and has lots of claws and shoots lasers. It stole something of mine. Have you seen it?
Indeed. The robot you describe sounds like Scraper, Metromind's enforcer. Whatever he took is gone forever.
I refuse to accept that.
Oh, he refuses. How delightful.
Do you know where I can find a power source?
Alas, my friend, power is not so abundant in Metropol as it once was.
That Maganka Metromine seized it all, seized it, and doles it out. And there's hardly enough to go around now.
Metromind keeps all power sources in the Great Tower where the Council used to meet. If you want to share it, you will need to pay her in megacycles.
Megacycles?
Yes, megacycles, you ninny. CPU cycles, brain power. The kind of power she really wants. Her low-rate processor was made for running trains, not a city.
Could someone else judge your case?
Of whom were you thinking? Metromind, perhaps? Authoritative to be sure, but I fear she would claim Rex for the good of all.
And since the subway schemer...
He means Metromind.
Shut down our builder Factor, he cannot help either. What about Horatio? Who?
Me.
And why should we listen to you?
I've built a robot before, and I have no stake in this.
Yes, well and good, but this is a matter of law and logic. A bit harder than banging together a tin can like your companion. How can we know your reasoning is sound?
Test me.
An interesting proposition. What do you say, Cornelius?
What do I say? I say that you are a liar and a thief, Oswald. But as to this Horatio, well, as to him, so be it. Boss, if they make us find 7 lost crystals, I'm quitting.
Shh.
Righto. Consider this. At the binomial biennial, 7 robots in the probability circle are gathered for a party.
The what circle is gathered at the what? Is this some kind of vocab test?
I said quiet.
Each robot is either a Factor-built or a Sternweiler built.
Blasted Sternweilers.
And moreover, each robot is designed with either a quad-core, a linear type, or a multiplex processor architecture.
This is ridiculous! Pay attention. Factor or Sternweiler, quad-core, linear type, or multiplex.
Indeed. Now I will tell you 3 things about these probabilitists. First, there are more Factor-built robots than Sternweiler builds. Second, every linear-type robot was built by Factor. Finally, Sternweiler never built a robot with a quad-core.
Now listen, which of the following statements about the probabilitist circle cannot possibly be true?
Even though Horatio seemed to have lost some megacycles when he first came to Metropol, I think he's still got enough brain power left to figure this out pretty easily.
4 robots were built by Sternweiler.
Good show.
The preceding facts are unchanged. Now, answer this. If exactly 2 factor-built robots have the same type of processor architecture, then which of the following must be true?
3 of the 7 robots were built by Sternweiler.
Correct. Here is the third question. The facts are still unchanged. Which of the following types of processor architecture might you find in a probabilitist built by Sternweiler?
Only multiplex.
Well, it seems we underestimated you, my friend. I'm uploading the facts of our dispute to your data pouch. Please, take some time to consider, and let us know when you are ready to hear our arguments.
That's been quite a bit of information we've had to absorb from Leopold, these two, and the repair bot. I think we should stop, take a little recharge and reboot ourselves before we try to decide this. Thank you for joining me. I bid you farewell.